All right, so we got another update today. This is what the first 3-video upload of the day of the 2025 season. So fun stuff there, but we got some news about how the Browns will be handling the preseason. I just literally talked about this. I thought the Browns were going to go a different route with this, but I think it's a good sign that they did not go the route that I was expecting. Shedeur Sanders is going to start this preseason game on Friday. Now, we talked about it in that video before. It doesn't look like Dylan Gabriel is going to play in that preseason game. It does not look like Kenny Pickett is going to play in that preseason game. And I think the fact that Shedeur Sanders is starting in that preseason game all but confirms that Joe Flacco is not playing in that preseason game. So what we're going to see is kind of like the Hall of Fame game where it was like, what was it? Josh Dobbs, and then it was Kellen Mond and Dorian Thompson-Robinson split reps, basically, first half, second half of the Hall of Fame game a couple of years ago. Similar kind of situation here where Shedeur will take the first half reps and the second half reps will likely go to Tyler Huntley just because you need somebody active out there to throw. And also, Shedeur's coming off shoulder soreness. I know some people are wondering why can't he play the full game. He's coming off shoulder soreness, so you probably don't want to play him a full game. Like, he's even a little bit banged up. So you probably wanted to bring in Tyler Huntley here to handle that. This makes the Tyler Huntley signing make 1,000% sense. Like, if it did not make sense to you before, this makes it make sense. I know that there are people acting incredulous because the Browns signed an extra arm for a preseason game when they only have one active quarterback available right now that they were going to be willing to play. I hope this does a lot to not befuddle some people who are befuddled, right? Like, it got kind of silly there. So Shedeur is going to start this game. And I do think there's something significant to that. And this is a great opportunity for Shedeur. Now, I'm going to talk about this as far as my expectations go for this game, right? Because I do think there are going to be people who put ridiculous expectations on this, on Shedeur. And I don't think these people are coming from bad faith as far as Shedeur goes. I think these are people who are really big Shedeur fans, want to put big expectations on this. And not to say that Shedeur can't play well in this game. I think there's a chance that he could. The Carolina Panthers aren't that good of a football team. And Shedeur has been putting up some nice reps as of late in practice. But Shedeur will be going up against the first team of the Carolina Panthers if they go and do what they said they were going to do, which means he's going to go up against some starters of the Carolina Panthers, and he's probably not going to have close to a first-team offense there in Cleveland, right? We're talking about second-team offensive line at best. You're going to have Deontay Johnson, maybe Cedric Tillman, definitely not Jerry Jeudy, right? No David Njoku, maybe Harold Fainen Jr., right? Running game, you're not going to get Jerome Ford. You're probably going to get Dylan Sampson, Amani Marshall, right? I think Pierre Strong was not practicing when I was there the last day of camp. So you're not going to have, it's going to be ones on twos for Shedeur Sanders. So if he does not look good, I'm not going to be overly concerned. If he does look good, I will be moderately more excited. So this is one of those situations, and I know that some of the anti-Shedeur people are going to be furious at me for saying this, but this is one of those situations where I'm like, it's only something that I think Shedeur Sanders can win. If he looks bad out there, me personally, I think most reasonable people will look at that and go, well, a tough spot, right? I know there will be people who just want anything that Shedeur does is remotely negative to kind of dunk on that shit, but I'm going to be honest with you. If he looks bad, I'm not going to be tripping. Like, I'm not going to be sitting here sweating about Shedeur, worried about Shedeur, doing I told you so's about the Browns should have drafted him, all this stuff. Like, I don't think that's going to be that big of a deal, right? If he does look good, hey, you know, the odds were against you and you look good. That's impressive. It's really one of those spots. So it is a can't lose situation for Shedeur. I did not think the Browns would put him in that spot. I thought they would play him in the second half potentially, just so that he wasn't going to have to go up against the first team. So either this means that They want people to get more. They want to get more of an extended look against Shedeur, against those first team guys, or something along those lines. I think this is a good sign for Shedeur that potentially after this could lead to more and more opportunities. And again, he's getting as much opportunity as you can ask for a 5th round pick to get an opportunity, right? I know people say he's not a normal 5th round pick, but most 5th round picks don't get the opportunity to start their first preseason game. Now, it might be because of extenuating circumstance, but still, a lot of coaches probably would have put him in that same spot that I thought they were going to put him in the earlier video where they were going to only play him in the second half just because he's a 5th round pick rookie. So good on the Cleveland Browns for giving him the opportunity. I hope a lot of people who have been crying conspiracy, saying that the Browns are refusing to give Shedeur a chance and all this garbage, I hope those people recognize that they were wrong here in that scenario. The Browns are more than willing to give Shedeur Sanders a chance if it makes sense for them, right? And it might not make sense for them to give him first team reps right now, but they're going to give him a huge opportunity here against Carolina, and it's going to be up to Shedeur to see how much he takes out of it. There's nothing for him to lose, right? Like, if he goes out there, those 4 interceptions, I find it hard to believe that the Browns coaches are going to hold this against him, right? I find it hard to believe that most reasonable Browns fans would hold this against him. And if he goes out there and he looks amazing, then cool. We might got something, right? You might got something to pay attention. That's not nothing, right? It's against first team defense. Didn't really have a first team offense. All that stuff be interesting to see. And I think what's going to be exciting to watch now that he's going up against the first team defense is you really get to tackle 2 of the big questions that you have about Shedeur Sanders and where he is at his development. And remember, where he is at his development is a snapshot of a much larger moving picture, right? It's a screenshot of a larger, bigger movie that's going on that's his life. And that's the same for every single player, right? It's why you shouldn't get obsessed with how a player looked at one certain place in time, because that can always change. We lived through this with Deshaun Watson, right? In 2020, he looked like a MVP candidate. In 2024, he looked like one of the worst quarterbacks in the NFL. You could take these snapshots and hold them up forever and say that they mean everything for the rest of the time, but at the end of the day, snapshot of somebody's career is just a snapshot of a particular moment. So what you want to see and get a good look at with Shedeur and see where he's at and maybe where he needs to grow or where he's already showed tremendous growth are a couple of areas, right? The one area that I've been thoroughly impressed with watching him at camp, and I think he has made really good progress with, and I hope he sticks with that progress, is his pocket habits. He seems to be rolling out much less. And when I say rolling out, right, I'm not just referring to if you're running towards where your body's already pointing, right? If I'm holding the ball like this and I run towards the camera, that's not rolling out. What I mean by rolling out is when Shedeur, you can see this in his Colorado tape, right? And I think this is a habit he needs to kill, is when he's here and then he rolls to go the other way, right? He has not done a lot of that. Has he ran out the pocket? Has he fled the pocket a couple of times in training camp? Sure, but that's normal. That's going to happen, right? What I don't want to see him continuing to try to do is rolling out, right? Rolling around to go the opposite way. That's where I'm like, he's not athletic enough to do that. If he wants to step out the pocket, he could do that. But rolling out, right? He's done a good job of not doing that so far in practice. And I want to see that continue when there's a live rush, right? It's one thing when you know they can't hit you. It's another thing when they can hit you, right? So just keep showing that off. Keep proving that that's something that you worked on. Another thing that I've seen him do in camp that I want to see him continue to do is that step-up game, right? I talked about this in his Colorado tape. He needs to develop more of a step-up game because I think the reason he does all of that, right, that rolling around, is because he didn't have a step-up game or have much confidence in his step-up game. I think he's going to be a much better quarterback once he develops that. I think his game is perfectly suited to step up and to manage the pocket. He seems to be pretty good at finding passing windows, pretty good at finding those passing rhythms, so he doesn't get his ball batted down as much. I think his game's perfectly suited to add this wrinkle. So getting rid of the rollout, which I don't think would work for him in the NFL. He's just not that good of an athlete, right? You're talking about you need to be a 4.5, 4.6 athlete and have a pretty exceptional three cone to be able to do that, right? Like Pat Mahomes isn't long speed fast, but he has an elite three cone drill, right? Shedeur, I don't believe has that. So he needs to develop this step-up game and get rid of that rollout habit, or at least rely on it much less than he did at Colorado. And I think he's been showing that in practice. Again, unpadded, sometimes padded, no contact jersey. It's hard to tell. We'll see in the preseason how much this stuff is sticking with him, right? When shit gets a little shaky, what's he doing? What's he falling back on? You know, that's going to be important to watch with him. The accuracy, he's going to make a couple of nice throws in this preseason game. I'm pretty sure of it. He's done it with enough frequency in training camp that I'm confident he's going to make a nice throw here or there during this first half of this preseason or however long he's playing in the preseason. And it might be it might be just one quarter, right? They might be limiting him because, again, he's coming off shoulder soreness. So he might not play as much as we're anticipating. But with him, you know, the accuracy, that's not something I worry about. Does he get the ball out on time? Going up against a first-team defense, you're going to have to get the ball out, you know, a little quicker. So can he get that half second there? Because every time he does make a spectacular throw at practice, it's like right on the edge of like, would he have had that amount of time with the live rush? Now we'll see if he can speed it up or if he doesn't need to speed it up. We're really going to see that there. But all in all, Shedeur's going to be starting this preseason game. I think this is a good step for Shedeur, a good opportunity for Shedeur Sanders, right? If he wants to jump the line and compete to take the spot of Dylan Gabriel and eventually Joe Flacco or Kenny Pickett, this game right here is going to do a lot to do that because now he's going to go from having maybe 3 reps against a first-team defense to potentially, you know, 3 or 4 series against a first-team defense and then more and more series live, right? You know, maybe some of the questions, concerns the Browns have from his college game gets washed away a little bit watching him play in the preseason. It's going to be a big opportunity for Shedeur Sanders, and we're going to see if he lives up to that opportunity. And I don't think there's much he can lose here. Yes, there's going to be people who are going to be disingenuous about this either way, right? Shedeur could drop a pretty bad performance, and there are going to be people who make it about anything else that went wrong with the team, right? It's going to be the offensive line fault. It's going to be the wide receiver fault. It's going to be somebody else but Shedeur's fault. And sure, that perspective is going to exist. There's also going to be the perspective of people who, no matter what Shedeur Sanders does in this game, they're going to find a way to try to shit on him, right? And if he plays bad, my perspective is this, right? Well, my perspective on this is this. I'll say it and then we'll end the video here. I think the only thing I can walk away from this game with is either indifference because it looked bad, but he was going up against first team guys, or impressed. I don't think he has much to lose for me. You know, that's how I'm choosing to walk into this game because I'm going to understand that this is not a perfect situation for him to go up and get his first live NFL reps with. Like, this is a bit of a tough spot for the guy, right? But it's not like DTR week 4 with the Ravens, like, bad situation, right? Like, this is much, much more tenable than that. So we'll see. Browns seem to be giving him an opportunity, giving him the chance to start this preseason game. And then we'll see how the rest of camp goes from there after this preseason game. But I think that's good news, right? I think that's good news if you're Shedeur Sanders. I think that's good news if you're a Shedeur Sanders fan. If you're not even if you're indifferent on this whole thing, I think this is good news. And even if you're a Shedeur Sanders hater, well, at least you get to have something to really base your opinions on other than like college tape and vibe. So we'll see what happens with this whole thing. I think everybody should be happy with this development. I certainly am. Y'all have a great day. Have an even better night. Peace.